Hello dear students, today we'll talk about how to make storyboards in language content, and this lesson is mainly dedicated for 8th grade students, but you can adjust it and adapt it to the grade level as you wish. So the main objective is that students will be able to collaborate on creating an original storyboard for their video, produce clear and coherent writing in which the development, organization, style, everything is appropriate to the task, purpose and the audience, develop and strengthen the writing as needed according to the planning, revising, editing, rewriting, or trying different approaches for that. And I should mention that this is a sequence of lessons and that is aimed for the video and how to make good videos, and we are in one of the parts of preparation stages when we're doing the storyboarding. And the skills that students will be practicing during this lesson is the collaboration, communicating new ideas and communicating it effectively, to look to their ideas from different sides, if it will actually work or not. Of course, being open and responsive to different ideas from the members of their group, and be able to be open for diverse perspectives. Also, the skills of creative thinking and problem solving will be also contributed during the process, and of course group discussion and decision making in the end. So first of all, let's clarify what is storyboard and why do we need it, what is the importance of it in video making. First, a storyboard is a graphic organizer used by filmmakers to plan how their film will look, how their film will sound, shot by shot. It is like a first draft of the film itself, but you are not filming, you are actually writing or showing the film shot by shot in a visual way. You can draw, you can write, it depends on what techniques you would like to use. So it shows the visual representation of how the film should look, or if you are using any dialogues or sketches, and also the music, so how the film will sound. A well thought out storyboard should leave no questions unanswered. It means that before shooting a film, if I have clear and coherent storyboard, then this is the first stage for the video, that I will not need any further preparations. And as a group, we can divide students into pairs, or if you think that it will require too many videos in the end, then we can make them work into small groups of 4 or 5. It depends on the class size. And after the students are being divided, we have to clarify what is their task and what is the role of each member inside of the group. So first is that your storyboard must be clear. So no hard handwriting or images that doesn't make any sense are not appropriate and are not going to be valid. Each team member can follow and create the film envisioned. It means that it doesn't have to be animation all the time. You can also use the writings. Also, I will provide you with the template. Please use the template provided inside of the boxes. So you can see the template here. While talking and giving task clarification, this template will be on board, and all the words you can give it just by talking. So use the template. In each box you need to sketch what will actually be seen in each frame. If you think that you want to use some texts on the screen, please write it inside of the box. But if you are using some dialogue or speech, then write it underneath the box on the provided lines. If you are using a still image or if you think that a drawing of it will require too much time, please attach a copy of an image, but make sure that you give the credits and give the source where you have taken the image from. Above each box there is a space, and please indicate there the numbers of the shot. So your storyboard will be in sequence and you will not get lost in the end. Then in a smaller boxes that are provided, please, if you have any transitions or if you want to make some transitions between the shots, you can indicate it over there. But if you don't want to use any transitions, it's fine to not use it. The lines that are provided after below the box, you can write there the speaking lines if you have some dialects, as I mentioned before, or you can write the voices over the lines. So it means like who's going to tell what. If you have any sound effects or music, please indicate it there. Then if you want to use any effects or some kind of additional resources or additional aids, please also indicate it under the box. And then if you want to clarify some details of the shot, for example the place or the font or the color, please also indicate it underneath. So this is the template. If you think that the lines are not enough, please use your own template, but it should be more or less be similar to the ones that I'm providing right now. So questions to consider before starting the process. How many cameras of shots do you want to take? So how long is going to be your video? Is it going to be a short one or a longer? Then the place where these shots are going to be taken, any special permission or access you need for your shot. If you think that your video will include some people, then make sure, or even children, make sure that you get permission from parents. Then what will they people or children they will be wearing, what any specific clothes or any specific clarification on that. If they will be speaking, please again write their lines under the shot itself. Then make sure that people actually have practiced it beforehand, before shooting the video. Will you need any props? If you need, who and how you will get them. Again, write down those details. You have several members in your group. Please distribute and make sure that you divide the work appropriately inside of your group. Do you need to make anything additional for your video? Is it you want to include some kind of a picture or sign? If yes, you have to make it. Again, if you want to use a still image, please label that inside of your storyboard and also give the credits where you have taken it. Will you have some voiceovers? If yes, please practice it. Again, if you use any soundtrack or music, please make sure that you bring it. So, the steps to follow while doing the storyboard. Make sure that you give enough time for students to work on their storyboards. Of course, it's depending on your unit plan. It can take up to 1 or 2 lessons. If you think that you'll devote only one lesson for making a storyboard, then the video length should be shorter. If you think that the video is going to be longer, then give more preparation time for students. So while they're working inside of the groups and they're doing their works, let's look at the steps to follow. You don't have to give it, you don't have to read it out loud for the whole group. You can just print it out and give it for each group, and they can individually decide what steps exactly they want to consider and what steps they would like to omit. But for the sake of explaining the whole process, I will be reading all the steps one by one. So the first step is establishing a timeline. So before actually starting to draw any animations inside of the boxes, students should be have a big vision of how long the video is going to be and what sequence they are going to follow. So establishing a timeline, it means that when or where your story will take place, deciding in which order the events will happen in chronological order, and the best way to organize it, you can begin starting drawing. If your story is not completely linear, so you cannot show it in one sequence, then you can use flashbacks, flash forwards, or shifting perspectives, alternating outcomes, multiple timelines, time travel. So you can try and see what approach will best suit your video. You can still create a narrative timeline, so you'll have a skeleton of your story, and all members will be aware what sequence to follow. You have to list the main events of the story and how they will appear on the screen. If your story or your video is going to be commercial, or you're going to advertise some elements, then you have to establish what scenes will occur and in what order. Next step is identifying the key scenes in your story. So after you have got the skeleton of the whole story itself, and now you can look at the key scenes. You have to pick and show the plot before finishing the storyboard itself. So what points are important? Is there anything that should be in the plot that should be twisted, or that is important to change? Or if your storyboard includes some kind of changes or movements inside of the story along, you may also want to depict your changes in the setting. If the story begins in one setting and then it moves to another, make sure that you will be clear about that inside of your illustrations. Again, you can use the lines beneath the box and give clarifications and write some clarifications inside there. Then if your storyboard is about the advertisement, then the process is different, because you can pick the image that will represent the flow and then the direction of the film from the starting point till the end. As a general guideline, you should keep in mind that advertisement cannot be longer than 30 seconds. That is a hidden rule for all the commercials. And that means that your storyboard should be no more than 15 frames. And because each frame will approximately take 2 seconds in average. So decide how many details you want to use, how much detail you want to go. So if you're working on a film or breaking it down shot by shot, then create a shot list so you don't get lost. For each shot, or any team member will be on the same page as you are. For each shot, you'll need to think about the composition and details that you want to include inside of the film. Remember that the storyboard is there to provide a visual clarity and to keep everyone, all your team members at the same page as you. It's not supposed to be a work of art, so the students who will say, okay, I cannot draw or I'm not good at it, don't worry, it's not supposed to be a work of art. And then as you practice, you get along, and you will decide what elements to choose and what elements to avoid. You don't want to view it to get lost in trying to you don't want other viewers or other members to get lost trying to identify and interpret your illustrations. So instead we would like to have a clear and bigger picture of the whole scene and what is going to be about. And also, a good storyboard will be easily understood by anyone. You know that you're going to be peer assess each other, then make sure that it will be clear for others to understand what illustrations and what animations you want to use to make a good film. Then potentially when you are editing your storyboard, other specialists or other members can refer to it and use it as a guidance or to follow the directions. Then you want to write a description of each frame, what it is going to show. For example, you want to have a frame where you are depicting the conversation between two main characters. Then what needs to be conveyed in this image? Are there some kind of characters fighting, smiling, or moving towards a destination? So what are they doing? Some sorts of action should be also taken into a drawing. And again, if you cannot illustrate it as good as you think it should be done, do not worry. You can write it inside of the lines, any specific details you couldn't show in the illustration. Then it is important to have a certain view of the background. What is going to be the background of that scene, or when these characters are being involved in their action. And make sure that you sketch your little thumbnails. So start bringing the scenes into life by drawing it, mapping it out, and use the template for that. And again, bear in mind that it is just a rough draft, and so you don't want to make it a perfect scene. And as long as you go, make sure that each scene has following elements of the composition. So the lighting, foreground or background, what is the figure and what is the background, the color and image, the font size, everything what you will be using. Make sure that you give the details on how to do it. Then angle from which the camera is going to be shooting. Is it going to be high angle or a low angle? and the type of shot. Is it going to be a wide? Is it going to be a close-up, over the shoulder, or tracking shots? So here you can practice all the different shots that we have learned during the previous lessons. And then the props. If you're using any prop, what exactly it is going to be. And again, as we mentioned as questions before starting the storyboard, one of the things that you have to bear in mind is coming prepared and bringing the props beforehand, before the shooting the video. So what actors do you want to use? Is it going to be animals, or you want to use people, children? Again, check with the accessibility and the signature and permission of parents. Then anything that can be acted upon, and if you want to use any special effect, again, use it here as writing detail. So another point that is important, below each frame or each cell, how we call it, fill it up with the description of what is happening. Include the dialogue. So if you have people who are talking, add information about the length of time. So each frame, how long it should be. And as we mentioned before, if it is a commercial or advertisement, then you are using only 2 seconds per frame, and average frame numbers should be no more than 15. Finally, number the cells. You have the special box provided for numbering the sequence. Then finalizing it. Once you have identified the key points, the key scenes, and worked out the design for each frame, now as a group you have to review your work, make final changes. Be sure that each cell, they must portray some kind of an action, and make sure that it actually portrays what you initially wanted to, and you discussed as a plan for that. Tweak the descriptions and dialogue if necessary. Make any changes as possible. It's a good idea to have someone else to review it, and we will use this technique in the end of the lesson, when during the feedback part, your storyboard is going to be reviewed by other members, other groups, and they will, as their task, they will be giving comments and suggestions for improvements. And you'll be also looking and giving your comments to other groups' storyboards. Even though we asked you to make the storyboard black and white and use only pencil during the animation process while you are doing the illustrations, but after, when we give the feedback and before starting the video, make sure that you add up colors. We don't mean that you have to sit and color it all up, but while doing the storyboard, inside of the details, give the details of what color do you want a particular scene, background, or even people wearing what kind of clothes they are wearing. And remember that it's not necessarily important that the drawings look as realistic as or perfect as possible. Depending on the viewing audience, just simple stick figures, or as you are going along. And in most cases, storyboards don't need to be perfect. They only need to make sense for your group members of what exactly you are going to be shooting. And this is the skeleton sketch for the planning stage. While discussing what exactly is going to be inside of your frames or scenes, make sure that you think it from different perspectives, and we call it 3-point perspective. What is it? While storyboards illustrations don't need to look like they were created by a professional artist, there are a few tricks that you would like to use while doing your image to be more likely like a movie scene. And artists use these tricks as well. So that's why we're sharing it with you. So this isn't mandatory. If you don't want to use that, it's okay, because you're not going to be assessed according this standard. It's just to help you organize your storyboard. And instead of drawing all of your characters as if they were standing on the same horizontal line, you can put them into different perspectives. So have some standing a little bit further, put them in the front of the camera or a little bit further from the camera, and others some standing closer. The one standing further should appear, of course, smaller, and their feet will be higher up on the page, and the ones that are standing closer should appear in a larger, and their feet will be lower on the page. When it's time to translate the actual scene and the storyboard that you have created with your group members into a video, you will have a much better idea of how to organize these different perspectives and how to direct the shot and what types of shot you would like to use and include inside of your video. The final tips for making your video would be have different motivation for your cuts. As your storyboard of the video is going along, think about your reasons for making each cut to a new shot. Advancing the story is about more than just hopping it to the next plot point. Here it's a good point of transactions. If you want to use any transitions between your frames, you need to give a reason for why your characters do and what they are doing. And storyboarding the motivations for your cuts will help you figure out how to build tension and how to keep the story moving from one to another. And when it comes to making the film, for example, if you want to cut from one room to another, then have a character in the first room look towards the door, because that will show that realistically then he's moving from one place to another. And then on the next shot coming up from the door. Then this will help the story for the story's continuation, and also it will keep the audience attention, grab audience attention, and engage the viewer what is going to be next and what is going to be followed. So steps to follow up after So after the storyboard is finished and you are just finalizing the details, it's okay to do changes as it goes, because it's not an easy tool to work on, and the slides are going back and forth. Okay, let me try to fix it. So as it goes along, it's okay that when you're setting up your shots and you're directing it, you are giving more details and adding up other information as needed. However, relying heavily on just working how it will go along is not enough. You should make sure that your film is beyond some illustrations, that it actually comes across the ideas, and it is that will help to bring up some essential tips for making the video, and it will easy and it will make it easier for your team members in the process of the shooting video itself, and make it more natural, more organic. And remember that other members of your group should accept all the details or changes that you are doing alone. You are not the only member in the group who makes the decision, and especially you are working with other students as well, and they are going to get get marks and be assessed according to the whole group's work. Make sure that they all contribute their input. And storyboard itself, the process itself, is meant to be edited, and it's meant to be changed. And if other members are also putting some changes, again, make sure that it is all discussed and agreed among all the members, and it actually brings the improvement for the ideas, initial ideas. And maybe you can come up with some more additional details that you haven't even thought up at the beginning stage. Also, you can use different styles. As a template, we have provided just the style of illustrating the frame, then writing up any details underneath the line. But if you want to use it as some kind of a map with more details, or timeline that it will follow the sequences, it's up to you, up to your group, but make sure that it will be closely connected to the initial template, and you will give as many information provided as required. And after finishing your storyboards inside of your groups and doing the last finalizing changes, now we will ask all the groups to leave their storyboards, to bring up all their storyboards to the main board and hang it according to the groups. And then all the members of each group are moving clockwise and spending 5 minutes in each board, in each storyboard, to reflect on it, to give some comments, to write some suggestions for improvements, and to bring up some other perspectives. As you all will have only one task of shooting a video, it is okay to use like different sources and different ideas for the same task, because your stories are made up by yours and by yourself, and you are just giving the feedback for other groups. So all the groups are going around and giving their comments and writing the suggestions for the parts that need to be improved. After 5 minutes, when students will finish up with one storyboard, then they swap to the next one and they do it for the second group as well. So if we consider that we have 15 students in a class, then dividing them into 3 groups of 5, we will have in the end 3 storyboards. You don't write any comments inside of your own storyboard, you just give comments to other 2. And when students have finished, teacher looks at all 3 storyboards and give his or her own comments and suggestions for improvements. And after that, groups go to their initial work, initial place of working, take their storyboard and do adjustments as it is written. If again, this process must be discussed among the members, and if you do any changes, or if you consider that storyboard works fine, you don't want to contribute any changes there, then it's also okay. But you have to give your reasons why you want to use it as it is initially was written. Again, write down your comments underneath, and then in the end of the lesson you have to submit your work to the teacher, and before starting the shooting the film on next lesson, you will need the precise feedback from the teacher, and also your storyboard must be assessed accordingly. So for this presentation I used several sources. Most of them are actually on how to make films and how to teach students on filmmaking and why storyboard is important in the process of preparation before the shooting the film. You can now see 7 different resources that I have used. For more details, you can go for these sources and check if you would like to use any additional material. And for this lesson I have used only these 7, but if you come up with other resources, it's also fine, you can use them as well. And by the end of the lesson we achieved our initial objective, which was to work collaboratively, communicate. Your students could communicate their ideas and why it is important to listen to others, and they developed and strengthened their writing skills in terms of sketch writing. They have done the planning stage, revising, editing, rewriting it, and trying different approaches for that. They developed their own style that best suited their own group, and again they collaboratively worked in the creating process of the storyboard. That's all. Thank you for your attention. That is the end. Goodbye.